Shri Shuka Uvacha Jitasano Jitashvaso Jita Sango Jitendriya Shtule Bhagavato Rupe Manasandara Yaddiya Shri Shuka Uvacha Jitasano Jitashvaso Jita Sango Jitendriya Shtule Bhagavato Rupe Manasandara Yaddiya Shri Shuka Uvacha Shukadeva Goswami said, Jita Asana, controlled sitting posture. Jita Shvasa, controlled breathing process. Jita Sangha, controlled association. Jita Indriya, controlled senses. Shtule, in the gross matter. Bhagavata, unto the personality of Godhead. Rupe, in the feature of. Mana, the mind. Sandarayat, must apply. Diya, by intelligence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Shukadeva Goswami answered, one should control the sitting posture, regulate the breathing process by the yogic pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord called the Virat Rupa. Purport. The materially absorbed mind of the conditioned soul does not allow him to transcend the limit of the bodily conception of life, of self, and thus the yoga system for meditation, controlling the sitting posture and breathing process and fixing the mind upon the Supreme, is prescribed in order to mold the character of the gross materialist. Unless such materialists are able to cleanse the materially absorbed mind, it is impossible for them to concentrate upon thoughts of transcendence. And to do so, one may fix one's mind on the gross material or external feature of the Lord. The different parts of the gigantic form of the Lord are described in the following verses. The materialistic men are very anxious to have some mystic powers as a result of such a controlling process. But the real purpose of yogic regulations is to eradicate the accumulated dirty things like lust, anger, avarice, and all such material contaminations. If the mystic yogi is diverted by the accompanying feats of mystic control, then his mission of yogic success is a failure, because the ultimate aim is God realization. He is therefore recommended to fix his gross materialistic mind by a different conception and thus realize the potency of the Lord. As soon as the potencies are understood to be instrumental manifestations of the transcendence, one automatically advances to the next step, and gradually the stage of full realization becomes possible for him. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Gayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Param Ananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The first step in God realization. Appreciate the potencies of the Lord as they're manifested in the universe. Look at the universe not separated from the Lord, but see how it's the energy of the Lord and appreciate God's majesty, God's power. Actually, it's not God's power. It's a tiny nothing of God's power. How powerful Krishna is, inconceivably powerful, unlimitedly powerful. Effortlessly, he creates unlimited universes, as many universes as you can fit into a bag of mustard seeds. Yeah, but they don't say how big the bag is, but it doesn't matter. Innumerable universes manifesting. And what is that? That's 1/4 of the manifestation. Yeah, the material world is 1/4 of God's manifestation, and it's the unimpressive portion. Right? It's not the impressive portion. That's the prison house. So how much energy, how much opulence, how much beauty, how do you put into a prison house? Not that much, but it's magnificent. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the material cosmos is amazing. It's actually amazing. It's not insignificant because anything Krishna does is wonderful and brilliant. So Krishna is Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic potencies, unlimited mystic power. And by hearing about Krishna's unlimited mystic power, we come to some appreciation of our own position. Because in every way, the living entity is tiny. Nityo nityanam, chaitanas chaitananam, eko bahunam, yo vididati kaman. There are innumerable living entities, innumerable, uncountable. And then there's one supreme living entity, one supreme conscious living entity. And what's the difference? That one supreme conscious living entity is fulfilling the desires, is maintaining everyone else. No one is able to do anything independently. Although everyone is walking around imagining, I'm a self-made man, see what I've accomplished. Can you hear my voice? Or do you see how intelligently how I'm able to speak so wonderfully, how I've written so many books, what a wonderful musician I am. Oh, I'm so powerful, I've conquered this place and that place. Oh, just see no, it's just all on loan from Krishna. No one has, even the demigods. The demigods, they don't have independent power. It's simply granted to them by the Lord. Charu Prabhu, he was praised, he was told, you speak so wonderfully. How is that? And he said, his answer was, in a moment, Krishna can strike you dumb. So it's all coming from Krishna. And one should appreciate that. But the conditioned soul, although the soul is so tiny, there's one aspect of the soul which is not tiny. One aspect of which is monstrous, huge. Not unlimited, but huge. What's that? What aspect of the soul, conditioned soul, is huge?
The ego.
The ego. The ego is incredibly huge. Everyone is walking around, imagining that I'm it. I'm the man. I'm the center. Look at me. Look at me. Yeah. And every conditioned soul is carrying around this huge burden, which is preventing one from appreciating Krishna. That's exactly the thing, preventing one from appreciating Krishna. Due to enviousness of Krishna, due to the desire to steal Krishna's position, one is self-centered, self-focused, and therefore one has no appreciating capacity. So to the degree that the false ego is gone, to the degree that the consciousness is purified of this envy, to that degree, nirmatsaranam satam, right? Then one can appreciate. Here, the Bhagavatam is the glorification of the Lord. It's not different from Krishna. And to the degree that someone is nirmatsara, free from envy of the Lord, to that degree one can appreciate the Lord. So in the spiritual world, no one has any envy of Krishna. Everyone is in their natural position, natural, healthy position. So they have tremendous appreciation, unlimited appreciation of Krishna ever-expanding appreciation of Krishna, which makes no sense. Doesn't make sense. How something can be perfect. If something is perfect, that's it. It's perfect. Where does it go from there? But that's not the nature of spirit. The nature of spirit is that it's ever increasing, inconceivably. Their appreciation of Krishna's beauty is ever increasing. Their love for Krishna, although it's perfect, is ever increasing. So, first step in God realization. Why? Because the ultimate step in God realization is very difficult to grasp. Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, Krishna says that this understanding of Purushottama, that God is the supreme person, is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. And one who understands it, he achieves perfection by his endeavor. So it's a very confidential part of the Vedic scriptures to understand that God is the supreme person. And then what's even more mysterious than that? To understand that Krishna is the supreme, that's really mysterious. It's so mysterious. Even Brahma was looking down with his four heads, his vast intelligence. He's Adi Kavi, the original, he's the most intelligent person in the universe. And he said, this doesn't make sense. Who is this? I heard that this is God, but what's going on here? He's out there in the forest. What are they doing? Are we allowed to say God is goofing off in the forest with his friends? Maybe we're allowed to say that. He's having fun. That's it. What are you doing? We're just having fun. Anything serious to do? No, nothing serious to do. We're just enjoying life. What are we doing? We're imitating animals. We're playing different games, leapfrog, hide and seek. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Swinging on swings, swinging from ropes and jumping into the river Yamuna. Just having fun, nothing else. No serious business. So Lord Brahma is looking down, and on Lord Brahma's planet, the Lord is manifest in a particular form, Mahapurusha. And I forget the number of heads he has, but it's got like 1,000 faces. And so what is he doing with those thousands of faces? He's receiving offerings, and he's accepting these massive, beautiful offerings from the devotees. The devotees are always glorifying him and making huge offerings. And he's accepting those offerings with his many, many arms and his many, many faces, right? That's the proper system, is that devotees, they make offerings to the Lord, and the Lord accepts the offerings, and then he returns the prasadam. So why was it bewildering what Lord Brahma was seeing? He's looking down and he's seeing a bunch of, beautiful cowherd boys. And what are they doing? The cowherd boys are taking a bite out of their food. And this is tasty. Krishna's got to taste this. This is really good. And they're handing their remnants to Krishna. So a little bit bewildering, a little confusing. Yes, that's it right there. You can see actually that one of the cowherd boys is just offering Krishna something. Whether in that picture he's already taken a bite out of it or not, I'm not sure. But that's what's going on. They're thinking, this is delicious. Krishna, you got to taste this. What my mom made. Very bewildering, difficult to understand. When I was in Los Angeles, my cousin, he's a Muslim, and he came to the restaurant in LA, and we were sitting taking prasad, and behind me was a picture of Krishna sitting on the lap of Mother Yashoda. And we're having a conversation, and he looked up and said, what's that picture? And I looked up and what are you going to tell your Muslim cousin? Oh, this is God. He's sitting on his mother's lap. And before doing this, he was stealing butter, pinching the neighborhood children, and causing all sorts of mischief in the village. But then he ran away, came to his mother, sat on her lap. All the village ladies came to complain about him. But seeing his beautiful face, they became enchanted and they gave up their complaints. So you can't explain that to anyone, it's because that's the most advanced understanding of spiritual life. There's nothing more advanced than that understanding. It's a great transcendental mystery. Such a transcendental mystery, even the residents of Vaikuntha, they're perfect. They're so exalted. Even they sometimes don't understand the pastimes of Krishna. When Gopkumar came there, and he was, they said, okay, now give up your cowherd dress and adopt our mood. This is the highest thing. You have the facility. And who's Krishna? Yeah, Krishna, Vishnu sometimes plays those parts as a cowherd boy. That's part of his Leela, but that's not the highest thing. That's just something he does. And then the Vaikuntavasis were having a debate amongst themselves. But some of them, they couldn't have a deep appreciation of that, although they're so exalted. Because each devotee is perfectly situated and fully satisfied and thinking, this is the topmost. This is the topmost. My Lord Vishnu manifest with all of his power, his opulence, his glory, his sweetness also. It's not that it's just all majesty and power. The Lord is there with a sweet smile. His features are incredible, unlimitedly beautiful. His pastimes are wonderful. So they're thinking this is the topmost thing. And if you go to Ayodhya, then Lord Ram, everyone is thinking this is the topmost. Wherever you go, every devotee is thinking this is the topmost. But Krishna is the topmost because he has 4 qualities that are not even manifest in the other forms of the Lord. The 4 qualities, Krishna plays his supremely enchanting flute. We were just reading that the sages, they're thinking like, is the Lord the absolute truth or is his flute the absolute truth? They were so bewildered by the mesmerizing sweetness of his flute. Wasn't it? Weren't we reading that in the Brihad Bhagavatam yesterday?
Yes.
Who was it that was thinking like that? Was it just the great sages? Or
I don't remember.
Some super exalted souls.
Yes.
So Krishna, he plays a flute. He plays a flute. And what is the nature of that flute? Well, it's indescribable. God is unlimitedly talented. There's no limit to his talent. And so what is it? It's 1,000 times more beautiful than a flute of this? No, it's unlimitedly enchanting. And it's ever fresh. It's mesmerizing. Whoever hears it becomes stunned. The great demigods, they hear it, and although they're the most learned with regard to all the ragas and all the musical scales, and they know the musical part of the Vedas, they know it by heart, they've memorized it, and they're accustomed to hearing beautiful symphonic presentations by the Gandharvas and others, and they themselves can be very when they hear that, they just become bewildered. They have no idea what's going on. The rivers stop flowing. The trees start flowing with sap. These are the effects of the mesmerizing flute playing of Krishna. And Krishna's beauty is unique. Krishna's beauty is unique. What were we reading? That we always hear how the gopis, that this Brahma, he doesn't know what he's doing. We consider him he's the creator. He knows what he's doing. He's the topmost engineer. He's the topmost architect. He knows exactly how to perform his function because he was empowered by Krishna to do it. But the gopis have a different opinion. They think this person doesn't know what he's doing. He's not doing. What is it? Yeah, he doesn't know how to do what he's been given a service, and he's failed in his service because he created the eyelids. But you know who's really fortunate amongst the demigods? Who's fortunate amongst the demigods? Indra, because he has 1,000 eyes. He's got 1,000 eyes on his butt. That's a fortunate person. He's got 1,000 eyes. And what was the last thing? You remember the last thing? I'm forgetting the last thing. Yeah, so this is the beauty of Krishna. When Krishna's passing behind a tree, the cowherd boys become very disturbed. That for that moment, they can't see Krishna. That's how beautiful Krishna is. All enchanting beauty. And once seeing the beauty of Krishna, then the beauty of everything else pales in comparison. So Srimati Radharani, when she appeared on this planet, eyes were closed. The parents were very concerned. That's the first thing the parents check out. Everything's okay, legs are okay, arms are okay, eyes are okay. No, nothing going to be challenging. The parents were very concerned. Radharani's eyes were closed. And they stayed closed. And what's going on? What's happening to our beautiful, beautiful child? And then finally Krishna comes and he looks over the crib, and then Radharani opens her eyes to see the beauty. Doesn't want to see anything else besides the beauty of Krishna. And what is the nature of Krishna? Krishna's, he has a heart which is unlimitedly magnanimous, unlimitedly generous. The soul by nature is a servant. And in this world, the soul has taken up the service of, common people, or the service of, the country, my country, and people stand very proud of, thank you for your service, thank you for, dying for your country and for the oil companies and for the other rich people who are sending you off to war. You're trying to serve. The nature of the soul is to serve. You serve your wife, you serve your children, yeah, and the service never ends. It's not like, thank you very much for your service. Here's your gold watch. We so much appreciate it. No, it doesn't end. What do you mean you're going to stop serving? No, we still want more. We want more. We want more until you're on your deathbed. And still no one's satisfied. You still didn't render enough service. And when you go to get a job, what's the consideration of the employer in terms of how much to pay you? What's he going to pay you?
How much I'm willing to sacrifice.
That's it. He's willing to pay you how much you're willing to work, and what's the minimum he can give you for that work. Yes? He's not thinking, well, let me just give this person. No, they're thinking, let me give the minimum. There's Walmart. We shop at Walmart, right? And they give such a poor wage that the people from Walmart have to live by taking food stamps. Yes, they have to take some benefit, some benefit from the government just to pay for their lives. And the Walmarts themselves, they're worth hundreds of billions of dollars, right? And they don't think, well, let's raise the wages so people can live by working 8 hours a day. They don't think that. They think we'll give the minimum, right? And then when a politician comes and tries to raise the minimum wage to a normal living wage, then they'll get a lot of opposition from the super wealthy people. So this is typically the mentality. Occasionally you have exceptions where it's like it's in the newspaper. This employer is paying his employees a very good, nice wage, and the employees love him. That's very rare. So that's the idea of service that we carry. Service means I'll be serving someone and they're going to give the minimum. But Krishna's the opposite. He's the opposite.
$1 trillion, Prabhu.
What is
Walmart net worth $1 trillion passed in February 2026. Became the first traditional retailer ever to do so.
Yeah, trillion.
$1
Trillion bucks divided between all the family members, right? But give minimum wage to the workers. So when Gopkumar reached Vaikuntha, he was confused. He was like, this is God, because he saw someone who was so powerful, so beautiful, with so much mystic power. This must be God. And the person, no, I'm not God. I'm not Vishnu. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant of Vishnu. And the person went into Vaikuntha. Then he saw another person, more magnificent, more beautiful, more opulent, more wonderful. This must be God. This must be, no, I'm not Vishnu. I'm not Vishnu. I'm a humble servant of the servant. And then he was thinking, if this is what the servants are like, what must the master be like? He was just stunned. What is that? That's the generosity of Krishna. It's not that, he's taking all the beauty and the power and the wealth, and everyone else is like, okay, you stay in your position, I'm in my position. No, that's the antithesis of Krishna. Krishna's sharing wonderfully. Prabhupada even says that the cowherd boys, Prabhupada is describing the cowherd boys, they are very beautiful. They are going to the forest and they're already decorated by their mothers. Yeah. And then in the forest, they continue the decoration with minerals, putting paints on the faces and grabbing, feathers and different things. And the cowherd boys are very beautiful. They are so beautiful, sometimes you cannot understand who is Krishna and who is the cowherd boy. That's Krishna's nature. He's so magnanimous that his associates are as beautiful as him. And they're living in the same neighborhood. They're living in the same beautiful surroundings, enjoying life. There's only one way in which his associates are superior to him. What's that? In the pleasure they experience. In the pleasure they experience. The gopis experience more pleasure than Krishna by serving Krishna. More pleasure. So this is the irony of existence. The beautiful irony of existence is that the more one wants to enjoy, I want to enjoy. I have this attitude of enjoyment. I want to be the center. I want to enjoy. What happens? The less a person enjoys, the more the consciousness shrinks, isn't it? And the more a person has the attitude, I want to serve, the more the consciousness expands and the more the pleasure expands. Like when we go on Sankirtan, who do we typically find to be like kind of nice people? Let's say amongst the ladies, which occupations do you find the women are a little softer, they're a little happier, they're a little more open-hearted? Nurses, isn't it? A nice nurse. Why? Because she thinks, yeah, that's an occupation where I can do some service. So very often nurses are like, they tend to be soft-hearted, they tend to be a little happier, a little lighter, because they're engaged in service to others, right? Teachers sometimes, nursery school teachers or whatever, they have that mood of service. So to the degree of the service mentality, to that degree, the happiness will expand. So because the liberated souls have no motivation for enjoyment, none, zero. And it can be bewildering. You go to Vaikuntha and you look at the residents of Vaikuntha, and someone who doesn't understand thinks, are these sense enjoyers? Why? Why? Because they're so beautiful. They're covered with beautiful ornaments and, such opulence. And what kind of vehicles are they traveling around in? They're traveling around in vehicles, and they have the mystic power to expand the vehicles from their own bodies. And one vehicle is more opulent than 1,000, is it 100 universes or 1,000? Whatever it is, like that. One vehicle is more opulent than 100 or 1,000 universes. So, and who are they traveling with? The residents of Vaikuntha. They're traveling with their consorts, yes? With the god who look like goddess of fortune. Extremely, unlimitedly beautiful females next to them. Right? And they all have beautiful voices and all mystic power. And are these sense enjoyers? No, there's zero desire for enjoyment. There's only desire to give pleasure to the Lord. Ashlishava padiratam pinashtumam adarshanam marmahatam korotuva yata tata vavidida tulampato madpramanatas eva napara. Of course, this is magnified unlimitedly in the personality of Srimati Radharani. But that's the mood. That's the attitude of a devotee. Devotee simply wants to please Krishna, heaven or hell. What is it? Narayana parasarve na kutaschana pipyati. Everyone is approaching God. Well, some people are approaching God. And what are they approaching God with? With some shopping list, some desire. Give me this, give me that. I want material opulence. Okay, I want freedom from suffering. Oh, please give me a smooth life. Oh, please give me liberation. Oh, please give me whatever it is. Like that. Everyone is approaching God. No one is approaching God. I just want to serve you. I have no desire to fulfill except for the purified souls. And we're trying to have that mood. Imbibe that mood of just service for the pleasure of the Lord. And that's the one way in which the devotee excels the Lord. The devotee experiences more pleasure than Krishna. And Krishna is going, what's going on here? What's happening? I'm the reservoir of all pleasure. Rama, the very reservoir of all pleasure. But he looks at the gopis and he says, wait a minute, they're experiencing, 1,000 times more pleasure than me. What is it that they're experiencing by loving me? And what are they experiencing? What's Radharani experiencing? Experiencing by being loved by me. That's love. Love is to feel the heart melting towards the Lord, and love is to experience the sweet reciprocation of the Lord. In this world, we're lacking both. We're not experiencing either of them. The heart is, until the heart is purified, the heart is hard. It's sitting there just like a stone in its artificial state. Prabhupada said the natural state of liquid, of water is to be liquid, is to flow. And then water can come into an artificial state by being frozen. So when the pure soul comes in contact with the modes of nature and varying degrees, the soul becomes hardened. Not the soul, but consciousness becomes hardened, and the heart no longer flows with love for Krishna. So we're not experiencing love, love, love. Everyone's talking about love. It's a bluff. It's a bluff. This in the science of self-realization. Lynn Ludwig, you remember Lynn Ludwig from the Science of Self? She wrote a letter to Prabhupada. I've encountered some of your disciples, and they have a very negative view of life. This is what she was saying. She's, and this is not at all correct for someone who's on the spiritual path. One must live with love, and one must love, love, love like this. And if she thought the disciples were negative, wait till you hear what the guru has to say. So Prabhupada writes back to her, and she says, please forgive my disciples for any indiscretion, any mistake they've made. And then Prabhupada just unloads, about what the material world is and how the love of the material world is just a bluff. It's a facade. It's not the real deal. Prabhupada describes the relationships, material relationships, as mercenary. There's always a calculation, to some degree. Mercenary means, okay, I feel some affection for this person, but there's some calculation. What's in it for me? What am I going to get? Are enough boxes being ticked for me? So the souls that we're not experiencing on the material platform loving, and we're not experiencing being loved perfectly. And therefore, that's what's missing in the soul, because that's why souls exist, to love perfectly and be loved perfectly. We're experiencing Krishna's love, but in material existence, we experience it in the form of, a parent's love correcting the child, isn't it? That's how we experience Krishna's love until we become purified. And that is Krishna's love. Krishna's love is to put us through the circumstances of life that we require, to bring us to our senses, to humble us, to give us the proper perspective, if we want. And that's what we're praying for. Krishna, I don't want to be a conditioned soul anymore. Krishna, I want to again be your devotee. And Krishna's saying, okay, I'm going to help you with that. Fasten your seatbelt. This might hurt a little bit. It depends on us how much it hurts, isn't it? But Krishna, the first thing that has to be gotten rid of is the false ego. The false ego will only be purified, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, in the fire of ordeal. The fire of ordeal. Otherwise, typically the false ego remains. Oh yes, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a this and that. And Krishna says, no, we got to get rid of that false ego because you want it. So one is put into the crucible. The crucible is where you purify gold. Imagine how hot it is. You purify gold. So not everyone. People have different paths, and whatever is required, Krishna will give. Like that. So this is the first stage in God realization, at least to appreciate how God is, manifested in the majesty of the creation. The sun and the moon are his eyes. The rivers are his veins. The mountains are his bones. And then one comes to some appreciation. Wow, this is God, magnificent, powerful. And one gets off that platform. But here there's a warning that if you're engaged in this mystic yoga process, then you might get the mystic powers, and the mystic powers can make one crazy, isn't it? Imagine if just by a little bit of qualification, how people become proud and puffed up. Imagine if you have mystic powers and everyone's like, wow, did you see what that guy just did? And you think, oh, I like this, look at me. I'm unique. I'm special, And then everyone, is he God? Well, maybe I can bluff everyone into thinking I'm God. So tempting. So it's Krishna's mercy that he doesn't give his devotees more than they can handle. That's Krishna's mercy. He's directing our life in such a way that we can advance towards the perfect goal of life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Does anyone have any questions? Or
just a comment that you mentioned about how the cowherd boys that sometimes invite the Christian to try this out. There's a pastor of Prabhupada, Mukunda, he was they were in Los Angeles and he went to go visit some big minister or something.
Ambassador, yeah.
Ambassador. She gave him she gave him some prasad. Prabhupada's in the car, he takes a bite of the eventual date. It was one of the big ones, Saudi Arabia, I think. Prabhupada took a bite and handed it over to the Buddha Maharaj. And there was before anybody knew anything about Mahaprasad, so he was a little appalled, like, why is he giving me? Somebody just bit off it. Anyway, it's wrong with you, so he took a bite off and he handed it back to Prabhupada. He should finish it off. Prabhupada said, no, that's okay. You can have it.
God's sweet something.
Yeah. That facility is only given to those who are the most exalted. Yeah. Nothing like that is ever to be imitated.
Mm.
Prabhupada was always emphasizing in his presentation, isn't it? And he didn't say Krishna the cowherd boy, Krishna the cowherd. And Prabhupada didn't preach like that at all. Why? Because then immediately there'll be some misunderstanding. Krishna is a cowherd boy. No, you should understand who Krishna is. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. He's the source of everything. Understand that. Understand it very, very deeply. That Krishna's all powerful. Krishna's all knowing. Krishna's, the master, and you're the servant. Understand that. Imbibe that very, very deeply. And then these more advanced understandings will come by Krishna's grace. Krishna opens the door gradually to purified souls. We don't try to, smash down the door and, I want an intimate relationship with Krishna. No. Krishna is the one who initiates all that by the mercy of the Guru.
Two quick reflections. For one, in regards to the servant enjoys more. For example, a couple weeks ago, Swami was there at the home program in San Jose, and he said, here the mother, Manjari is her name, she's cooking all day for the whole program, and everyone comes and they enjoy. And then at the end, she's not left with a single morsel of prasad, just empty vessels to be washed. He said, now, who's happy? And everyone said, well, those who took the prasad. He said, no, they enjoy it. He said, but who's happy? Mataji's happy. And then in regards to the disciples being negative about the material world, it reminds me of that every time when I drive to Santa Cruz, because there's a banner there with a little baby, and then it states there, delivering joy never ends. And I'm thinking, that's not true. But it's helpful to understand what the real situation is. It's not being negative, it's just an honest assessment. Prabhupada said, if you're 1 year old, then you've died 1 year. And then to make a solution for it, then that's the good side of it.
Yeah.
Best deal of bad bargain, Prabhupada said.
One must understand that very, very clearly. Otherwise, one maintains hope in the material world. That's a hopeless hope. Tukala yama shashvatam, abrahma bhuvana loka. Topmost to the bottommost, it's not the home of the soul. It's a place of misery. But if one is serving Krishna, kaivalyam narakayate, then one can be happy anywhere. Srila Prabhupada ki